Imagine this, you're sitting alone, no distractions, no noise. You close your eyes and take a deep breath. In that moment, the world falls away, and suddenly, you're hit with an idea so powerful, so transformative, that it changes everything. That's the magic of solitude, my friends. When you embrace it, you unlock creativity you never knew you had. What if I told you that solitude could become your secret weapon? What if this quiet space could fuel your biggest breakthroughs, allow you to tap into your innermost genius, and help you live a life beyond what you ever imagined? Today, we're going to dive into how you can use solitude, not isolation, but purposeful, intentional solitude, to ignite your creativity, elevate your ideas, and push your limits to new heights. Are you ready to unleash your full potential? Let's go! Introduction. We live in a world that is constantly buzzing with noise. Everywhere you look, there's information flying at you, people talking, media shouting for your attention. But what if I told you that in the quiet, in the stillness, lies a creative power that can transform your life? Solitude isn't about being alone for the sake of being alone. It's about embracing the quiet to hear your own thoughts, your own desires, and your own creativity. Throughout my journey, I've seen it time and time again. The greatest innovators, the most successful leaders, and the world's most creative minds have harnessed solitude to unlock their potential. Albert Einstein used to say, "The monotony and solitude of a quiet life stimulates the creative mind." And he was right. So, let's break it down, step by step. In the next 10 chapters, I'm going to show you how to use solitude to boost your creativity, overcome challenges, and achieve the greatness you deserve. Chapter 1. Embrace the power of silence. Let me ask you a question. How often do you experience true silence? I'm talking about the kind of silence where the noise of the world completely fades away, and you're left with just you, your thoughts, and the space to breathe. In today's fast-paced world, silence is a rare gift. Everywhere you look, there's always something vying for your attention, be it social media, the news, or the constant hum of everyday life. But here's the thing. True creativity doesn't emerge from the noise, it emerges from the quiet. Silence is like a blank canvas. When you strip away all the distractions, your mind begins to clear. Your thoughts are no longer scattered. It's in that space of silence that you can tap into your innermost ideas and insights. I remember a specific moment in my life when I felt utterly overwhelmed. There were so many things I was juggling, speaking engagements, personal projects, family obligations, and I found myself feeling mentally drained. Everything I was doing was being influenced by the external world, and I wasn't giving myself time to think deeply about what I really wanted to create. One day, I decided to take a step back and retreat to a quiet place. I found a park, sat under a tree, and just listened to the wind rustling through the leaves. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't bombarded by anything. And you know what happened? My mind started to clear. I began to hear my own thoughts, my own ideas I had been too busy to recognize before. Here's the truth. Silence has the power to unlock the next level of your creativity. When you stop and allow yourself to be still, you create space for the ideas, the visions, and the solutions to flow in. Without silence, you're constantly running on fumes, reacting to everything around you. Action step. I want you to commit to 10 minutes of silence each day, just 10 minutes. No distractions, no technology. Sit somewhere peaceful and let your mind wander. Allow those creative sparks to ignite. You'll be amazed at how much clarity you can gain in just a few minutes of quiet reflection. Make this a daily practice, and you'll see your creativity transform. Chapter 2. Solitude helps you tune into your intuition. Have you ever had a gut feeling about something? A moment when you just knew what you had to do, even though the facts or logic didn't seem to align? That's your intuition speaking to you. It's that deep, inner knowing that guides you towards the right path. But here's the catch. In today's world, it's hard to hear your intuition when you're constantly surrounded by noise and distractions. Your intuition isn't something that can be heard in the hustle and bustle of everyday life. It's something that you must tune into, and the best way to do that is through solitude. When you're alone, without anyone else's opinions or judgments influencing you, you create the space to hear your inner voice clearly. I'll share a story from my own life. Early in my career, I was presented with an opportunity that seemed like a dream. But something didn't feel right. I couldn't explain it, but deep down, I knew it wasn't the right move for me at that time. I took a step back, spent some time alone, and allowed myself to reflect. I didn't listen to the external pressures or the expectations of others. I trusted my intuition. After some time alone in deep thought, I realized that I needed to take a different path, one that felt more aligned with my values and vision. When I trusted my intuition, everything shifted. The decision to move in a different direction ended up being one of the most pivotal moments in my career. Your intuition is a powerful tool, but it requires silence and solitude to be heard. In solitude, you can block out the noise, let go of outside influences, and listen to what your heart and mind are telling you. It's where you find your true north. Action step: start paying attention to your intuition. The next time you're alone, ask yourself, what is my gut telling me about this situation? Trust the first thought or feeling that comes to mind. The more you practice listening to your intuition, the clearer and stronger it will become. Chapter 3: Solitude cultivates deep focus. Focus. In our world, it's one of the most valuable yet scarce commodities. How often do you find yourself jumping from task to task, constantly checking your phone, email, or social media? How often do you struggle to stay focused for more than a few minutes without your attention being pulled elsewhere? Let me tell you something: creativity thrives on focus. The deeper you focus, the more innovative and effective your ideas become. But focus is something that requires space. When you're constantly surrounded by distractions, it's nearly impossible to achieve the kind of deep focus that fosters creativity. There's a story I love to share about the legendary author, J.K. Rowling. When she was writing the first Harry Potter book, she was a single mother living on welfare. She had no fancy office, no team of people supporting her, just her and her thoughts. She would write in cafes, on trains, wherever she could find a quiet moment. It wasn't the hustle and bustle that helped her create the world of Harry Potter. It was the quiet moments of solitude where she could focus her mind and immerse herself in her work. I've experienced this kind of focus myself, particularly when working on large projects. Early in my career, I would get distracted by everything around me: the calls, the meetings, the demands on my time. But it wasn't until I started carving out quiet time for deep work that I truly tapped into my creative flow. I'd find a quiet corner, shut off all distractions, and dive deeply into the work at hand. It was in these moments that I came up with some of my best ideas. When you focus deeply on a task without interruption, you enter a state of flow where creativity isn't just possible, it's inevitable. Think about it: the greatest breakthroughs in history didn't come from multitasking. They came from moments when someone locked in, focused, and immersed themselves in their work. That's what you need to do. Create the space for deep focus and watch your creativity soar. Action step: try setting aside at least 1 hour each day where you can focus deeply on a project. No phone, no distractions. Just you and your task. See how much more productive and creative you become when you commit to that uninterrupted focus. Chapter 4: Reflection leads to insight. Sometimes the answers we seek aren't found in the hustle, the noise, or the constant motion of our day-to-day lives. They're found in stillness, when we pause long enough to reflect on our journey, our challenges, and our experiences. Solitude provides the space for this kind of reflection, and in that reflection, true insight emerges. I'll tell you a story. A few years ago, I was at a crossroads in my career. I had achieved many of the goals I had set, but I started to feel like I was just going through the motions. Something was missing. The passion wasn't there anymore, and I knew I needed to reconnect with my purpose. So, I decided to take a week off. I went to a remote cabin in the mountains, away from everyone and everything. No phone, no distractions, just me and nature. During that time, I spent hours reflecting on my life and my work. What was I truly passionate about? What did I want to create next? It was in that solitude that I gained a deep insight. I had been so focused on external achievements that I had lost sight of the deeper impact I wanted to make in the world. That realization shifted everything for me. It reignited my passion and gave me a clear direction for the next phase of my life. Reflection in solitude allows you to access a level of clarity and insight that is impossible when you're constantly distracted by the noise of the world. It's in those quiet moments that you uncover the truths that have always been within you. Action step: take time to reflect. Ask yourself, what have I learned from my experiences? What patterns do I see in my life? Allow yourself to sit with those thoughts without rushing to find the answers. Insight comes when you give yourself the time and space to let it unfold. Chapter 5: Creativity flourishes when you let go of expectations. We live in a world where we're constantly bombarded with messages telling us what we should do, how we should do it, and when we should do it. From social media to society's expectations, there's this overwhelming pressure to conform to certain standards. But here's the thing: creativity cannot thrive when it's constrained by expectations. When you're in solitude, there's no one to tell you how to think or what to create. The moment you release yourself from external expectations, you allow your authentic creativity to flow freely. This is where true innovation begins, when you create from a place of freedom, not restriction. I'll never forget a conversation I had with a friend of mine, a successful musician. He was struggling with writer's block. He had been under so much pressure to create the next big hit that he couldn't focus on anything meaningful. His creativity was stifled by the weight of expectations. One day, I challenged him to spend a week alone, without any pressure to write a hit song. I told him to just create whatever felt right, without any concern for what others would think. He was hesitant at first, but agreed to try it. By the end of the week, he came back with something incredible. He had written a song that was deeply personal, raw, and authentic. It wasn't what he thought he should write. It was something that came from within, something that only solitude could allow him to tap into. Action step: give yourself permission to create without the burden of expectations. Spend time in solitude and let go of the need to meet outside standards. Create from your heart, not from a place of pressure. Allow your authenticity to shine through. Chapter 6: Solitude sparks innovation through problem solving. Have you ever been faced with a challenge that seemed insurmountable? A problem that you just couldn't seem to solve no matter how hard you tried? We all have. But here's the truth: the best solutions often come when you step away from the problem and give yourself space to think. Innovation doesn't happen when you're in constant motion. It happens when you're able to pause, reflect, and approach the challenge with a fresh perspective. Solitude allows you to do just that. When you're alone, you have the mental clarity to approach problems without the pressure or distractions of the outside world. Let me share a story with you about an entrepreneur I worked with. She was struggling with her business. There were so many moving parts, and it felt like everything was falling apart. She had tried every solution, but nothing seemed to work. So, I told her to take a break. A real break. I suggested she take a weekend to herself, away from the office, away from the constant demands. She was reluctant at first. She felt she needed to keep pushing. But eventually, she agreed. When she came back, she had a completely new perspective. In her time alone, she had identified the core issues that were holding her back, and more importantly, she came up with a fresh, innovative solution. She didn't find the answer by working harder. She found it by stepping away and giving her mind the space to think differently. Innovation happens in solitude because it's in these moments of quiet that we can think deeply and approach problems from new angles. When we give ourselves the room to reflect, we often discover solutions that we never would have considered otherwise. Action step: the next time you're faced with a tough problem, give yourself the gift of solitude. Step away from the situation and give your mind the space to think creatively. Let go of the pressure and trust that the solution will come when you allow it to. Chapter 7: Solitude enhances your creativity through uninterrupted flow. Flow. It's that magical state of being where time seems to disappear and you're fully immersed in the creative process. It's when your mind is completely focused on the task at hand and the ideas come effortlessly. Flow is where the magic happens, and solitude is the key to unlocking it. Think about the times in your life when you've been in the zone. Maybe it was when you were writing, painting, working on a project, or even solving a complex problem. In those moments, nothing else matters. You're completely absorbed in what you're doing. That's the power of flow. I remember a time when I was working on a new program. It was a huge undertaking, and I had a lot of moving pieces to manage. But when I locked myself in a room, free from distractions, something incredible happened. I entered a state of flow, and the ideas began to pour out of me. The words, the structure, the content, everything just clicked. That's the beauty of solitude. It creates the space for you to enter flow without interruptions. Without the constant barrage of notifications or the pressure of deadlines, your mind can focus entirely on the task at hand, allowing you to produce your best work. Action step: set up an environment that supports flow. Find a quiet place where you won't be interrupted, and commit to a set period of time for deep, uninterrupted work. Give yourself permission to fully immerse yourself in the process. When you allow yourself to get into flow, your creativity will skyrocket. Chapter 8: Solitude Clears Mental Clutter. One of the biggest challenges we face today is the constant bombardment of information and distractions. Our minds are cluttered with tasks, to-do lists, notifications, and all the noise of the world. This mental clutter can make it difficult to focus, think clearly, or be truly creative. Solitude gives you the space to clear that clutter. When you're alone, free from the distractions of emails, phone calls, and social media, you create an opportunity for your mind to reset. It's like decluttering your home. When everything is in its place, you can think more clearly, make better decisions, and unlock deeper levels of creativity. I'll share a personal example. A few years ago, I was feeling overwhelmed by everything on my plate. My calendar was packed, and my mind was constantly racing. I realized I needed a break, so I took a few days off to disconnect completely. No meetings, no emails, no social media. Just pure solitude. During that time, my mind began to clear. I could feel the mental clutter starting to dissipate. My thoughts became sharper, and I was able to see opportunities and solutions that had been clouded by all the distractions. By the time I returned, I was more focused, more energized, and more creative than I had been in months. Solitude gives you the chance to declutter your mind, and when your mind is clear, creativity flows effortlessly. Action step: start by taking time each day to mentally declutter. Turn off your phone, step away from your computer, and give yourself some time to just breathe. Let your thoughts settle, and notice how your mind becomes clearer, more focused, and more open to creative ideas. Chapter 9: Solitude Strengthens Self-Trust and Confidence. As you spend more time alone, something incredible happens. You begin to trust yourself more. Solitude allows you to get to know yourself on a deeper level, away from the influences of others. When you're constantly surrounded by other people's opinions and advice, it's easy to lose touch with your own inner voice. But in solitude, you reconnect with that voice, and it's in that connection that your confidence grows. I've seen this happen time and time again with people I've worked with. There's a woman I know who was constantly seeking validation from others. She relied on external approval to feel good about herself and her decisions. But when she started spending time in solitude, something shifted. She began to trust her own judgment and intuition more than ever before. I remember her telling me, "I'm finally starting to believe in myself. For the first time, I feel like I'm making decisions for me, not based on what others think." Solitude builds self-trust because it gives you the space to listen to your inner voice and make decisions that align with your true self. And as you build that trust, your confidence soars. Action step: take time to reflect on the decisions you make and how they align with your values. Ask yourself, do I feel confident in this choice? Does it reflect who I truly am? The more you trust yourself, the stronger your confidence will become. Chapter 10: The Transformative Power of Solitude, a Lifelong Journey. As we come to the end of this talk, I want to leave you with one final thought. Solitude is not just a tool, it's a lifelong journey. It's not something you turn to only when you need inspiration or a break. It's a practice that can transform your entire approach to life and creativity. Throughout history, the most innovative, successful, and creative people have used solitude as a powerful tool for growth. Albert Einstein, for example, spent hours alone reflecting on his ideas. Steve Jobs would take long walks alone to clear his mind and find inspiration. These individuals didn't just use solitude when they were stuck, they integrated it into their lives, knowing that it was the key to unlocking their highest potential. You have that same potential within you. Solitude is a gift that allows you to connect with your true self, tap into your creativity, and gain the clarity needed to achieve your greatest dreams. It's not something you do occasionally, it's something you weave into the fabric of your life. So, my challenge to you is this: embrace solitude. Don't be afraid of the silence. Don't shy away from the moments when you're alone. Use that time to recharge, reflect, and reignite your creativity. Your best ideas, your highest potential, and your truest self are waiting for you in the quiet. And remember, you are not alone. You are always connected to something bigger, something limitless. When you embrace solitude, you tap into that infinite power within you. Action step: commit to making solitude a regular part of your life. Whether it's through daily moments of silence, weekly periods of reflection, or longer retreats to reconnect with your creativity, make solitude a priority. When you do, you'll unlock a level of creativity and personal growth you never thought possible. As I leave you today, I want you to know this: your creativity is not a fleeting moment, it's a limitless resource that exists within you. Solitude is the key to unlocking that resource. When you embrace the power of solitude, you give yourself permission to be fully present with your own thoughts, ideas, and dreams. You give yourself the gift of clarity, focus, and deep inspiration. And most importantly, you give yourself the space to become the best version of yourself, one that is unstoppable, one that is innovative, and one that is truly connected to the limitless potential within you. Now go out there, embrace solitude, and let your creativity soar. You've got this.